Oh,
Oh
no.
dear. The meeting of the Town of Bucksport's Community Resilience Committee is called to order. I recognize there's a quorum available, and so this meeting will be a hybrid meeting wherein persons may attend and participate in person or via the town's Google Meet capability by accessing http://meet.google.com/osi-pxws-v TT, I think it is. Okay, that's a problem with my printer. The meeting can be viewed on local cable channel 1303 or on the internet on Bucksport's YouTube page by accessing bucksportmaine.gov and selecting agendas and minutes and choosing this meeting and clicking on the video button next to the meeting. Questions or comments may be submitted before or during the meeting by emailing rich.rotella@bucksportmaine.gov or by calling 207-307-8030 during the meeting. And I see Jana Richards is with us. Can you hear us, Jana?
I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
We can. Thank you for coming in by Google Meet. We've just called the meeting to order. The first matter is to let me welcome everyone, and a quick announcement is that Tracy Hare is not going to be with us this evening. Otherwise, we have the full committee members here. Originally, I was expecting that Sky Butterson Dunn would be helping us work on the proposal for the Community Action Grant, but I put her off because of the change that occurred between our last meeting and now relative to information from the Island Institute. Specifically, the Island Institute indicates that our inability to commit town funds to a fellow is not necessary for us to make an application, and they're encouraging us to make an application for hiring an Island Institute fellow that would start in September. The deadline for that is the end of this month, and that's, I knew, would take up most of our meeting today, and that's why I put Sky off until a future meeting. I have sent out the proposed agenda, and the question is, does anyone have any suggested changes, comments, or concerns about the proposed agenda?
Not at this time.
I have a quick question. I don't know if it's about the agenda, but I thought Sky was going to help us with the application for the fellow.
Yes, in part, and that help is still available to us. What she was originally going to do at this meeting, if we had continued with our decision not to go with an Island Fellow application on account of we didn't think we might be eligible to do so, she was going to do some visioning on the Community Action Grant proposal. That was what we had lined up to be this time. Yes, her help, she has offered her help, and it is available to us for the application to.
Yeah, I thought it was a dual thing, yeah.
For the Island Institute Fellow. Questions on, any concerns about the proposed agenda, or shall we go with it as written? Hearing no objection, we'll go with it as written. Now, the next matter was to review the matter of the minutes, and since I wrote up the proposed agenda, Rich Rotella has kindly sent everyone the minutes that he made up from our last meeting, and he emailed them to everyone. And so I would say that on account of that, I think it would be appropriate for us to approve the minutes if committee members so wish to do so. Are there any concerns about the minutes? Any corrections? Anything that anyone knows of that needs to be done differently? Any reason not to approve the minutes? Good, we'll consider the minutes approved. And then we get to the section where I'm looking for updated information from Jana Richards, the Regional Resilience Coordinator, who is with us this evening by over the internet, to give us any program updates and any other news and any further commentary as she wishes. So Jana, you're on.
Hi, everybody. I don't really have much. Rich, I'm sorry, Ralph, I think you had asked if I would just reiterate what the dates of the due dates for the Community Action Grant were, and just they will notice them and open them hopefully in February, and they would be due in May. So that's the time frame that we have continued to hear. That being said, the applications that were submitted back in August, if you remember, that was the summer deadline. We still have not heard, and it's now January 15th, as to whether those have been awarded or not. And I believe that the reason for that is because there was a delay. Well, the federal government had shut down for that time period. And a lot of these, some of these grants will be funded through NOAA dollars. And so there was just a pause there to see what was going to happen. Obviously, the federal government opened again, and so they were able to review, and we're hoping that we would hear sooner than later whether or not those have been awarded. And I say all of that just to let you know that if they're saying February, if they haven't awarded the grants that were due in August, I'm not sure. If we don't hear by the end of this month, they might push it another month, but hopefully not. And hopefully it's the February notice and open and May due date. And the only other thing I wanted to just fill you in on is there's another funding opportunity that's going to be opening up in March from the state. It's called the Maine Infrastructure Adaptation Fund. Rich might have heard of that before. This is going to be like the fourth round of that. Essentially what it entails is upgrades or adaptation and resiliency projects for infrastructure, and that can be roads, transportation, bridges, culverts, stormwater, and then it also can include things like wastewater and water systems if a town has them. I've been getting questions about if dams can be included, so I'm looking into that. So there is a notice that was put out on the Maine DOT's website, and I'd be happy to forward that link to you all so you could check it out. If you are interested in pursuing it further, HCPC, myself, and my colleague Greg are going to host what we're calling extended office hours on January 28th. So it's not this next week Wednesday, but the following Wednesday, to be able to talk through projects with towns. So we just ask that people come with ideas for projects and any questions they might have on the grant funding. I will say that it's a 5% match, which has been pretty typical from the state in terms of some of these larger grant funds. Communities can get up to $75,000 for engineering and design work, and then up to $3 million for either just construction projects or $3 million for a combined effort. So it would be the engineering, design, and construction for $3 million. So if anyone has any questions on that, I can try to answer them. But I would say that with the Community Action Grant deadline coming around, I think the focus on that is probably the priority for this committee right now. I just offer up anytime I hear of any funding opportunities, I will tell you.
Wonderful, thank you. Do committee members have any questions for Jana?
Not at this time.
I met Cy Coffee yesterday. I was down with Dewar and DECD. Yeah, we were talking about the legislation for 19. I can't remember the number, but for the one of the action items that we're pursuing,
Right, yep, the energy,
Coaching.
energy coaching.
coaching
Yeah.
pilot program, yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Yep, and that's, I forwarded that email on, because they're looking for public input until, I think just before the end of this month,
January
on those
22nd.
programs.
January 22nd is the deadline.
I'm sorry.
January 22 is the
Oh, okay.
comment period deadline.
I was fortunate enough to be able to, so I think I mentioned when I first started meeting with you all that I'm one of 10 of similar positions within the state. So all 10 of us got to speak to the individuals that were looking through and creating that report on the energy coaching program. So we were able to give some feedback based on experiences that we've had within our regions. And I did use Bucksport as an example, just because you are looking at moving forward, and sort of how you were thinking of working with an island fellow, which you will see if you look at the report. There's these different strategies that they have for implementing energy coaching programs, of which they were thinking about funding similar type positions in other communities to kick these off. So we talked about the need to build capacity, but also the long-term sustainability that, after those individuals are gone, like, how do you keep the momentum going in a community?
Thank you, and thank you for alerting us to that public comment period and that draft report that DOER put out. I found it extremely helpful, and the reason is that it lets me know what the thinking is by people in the legislature and in the executive branch relative to this topic that we're pursuing, and I think that's very helpful for us, helpful to guide us in our pursuit of the program.
Great.
Any other questions? Yes, Chris.
Jana, would you tell me what it was main infrastructure, what's the rest of that name, please?
Main Infrastructure Adaptation Fund.
And you, thank you, and you'd also mentioned that you were trying to address the possibility of those funds being used for dams, is that correct?
That is correct. So the town of Orland is looking to see if it could potentially be utilized to help with a dam in their community. So the funds this year for that fund are solely coming from NOAA, which it means that the state can put together guidelines, but if there are things that are sort of questions outside the box. So they've never funded dams through this program before, but that's not to say that NOAA would say no to it. In fact, NOAA has been known to want to look at dams, more so tear them down than actually make them more resilient. But in some cases that's not feasible. So basically what DOT has asked at this point is that the town of Orland put together a brief narrative and with more specifics on the type of project that they're looking to do, and then submit that, and then the DOT would then turn that around to NOAA to review and give an answer.
Thank you.
So the good news is that there's a couple months until the applications for that fund are going to come out. So getting the notification now, we're able to get a lot of these questions answered prior to the application. And, it's a lot better for a town to know those answers and not waste time on a potential application if they're basically just going to be told no. So.
Thank you. I think the important thing too is not just remediation or upgrades, but assessment assessment of dam
Yes.
conditions, cause
Yep.
these dams around here haven't been done since, must be 10 years this year now, since anybody's taken a look at them. So I would hope that those fundings, if they are available, also can be used for assessment of current condition.
Yes, and so that's the like engineering and design and scoping and feasibility type studies that can be done up to $75,000. Yep.
Thank you.
So, and
You're
I'm sorry, and you said January 28th, you're gonna have what kind of a Q&A for this grant? Where is that gonna be?
Oh, that's correct. We sent a news blast out from HCPC, but I'll make a note to send you the notice from the Maine DOT and also a flyer for that. And if you are interested, you can also just shoot me an email and I can sign you up to come.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I'm making notes on my notes, so, you said that this main adaptation infrastructure grant, right?
Yeah, Maine Infrastructure Adaptation
Okay.
Fund. Can you see the chat if I put it up there?
I can figure it out.
Adaptation Fund. All right, I put it up there so you can write it down. And I will send the notice from DOT. And also the details for the workshop office hours that we're gonna hold on January 28th at 5:30.
I got the email from you guys yesterday.
Did you get that? So
Yeah,
that's the one. If
that's
you
one.
wanted to forward it
Yeah.
to everybody on the committee, Rich, that'd be awesome.
Yep, I can do that.
Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you very much, Jana.
Thank you.
Any other questions, committee members?
No.
Then let's, I'm pleased to report that we're within 2 minutes of the agenda timing, so the thought that I had next was that we would talk about the Island Institute Fellows Program application. I sent everyone I think it's 9-page application. The application actually gets filled out online, but there's no way to save whatever is entered online for it. So they're asking people to fill it out on paper and then transfer the paper to the online system. And then they have the copy of the paper to know what they've said. In any event, I'm interested in knowing what you think about the application, what you think about the areas of the application that needs work on it. And I mean, it all needs some work. It's blank at the moment. Shall we pursue it? And if so, what are the things that we need to do to get from here to getting that application decently done in about 2 weeks? Yes, Rich?
My concern is that the last set of funding has not gone anywhere yet, and that if this puts a further delay, what then happens with Island Institute at that point? Because the town does not have a dime to put towards this.
Yeah, I understand that, and I did have a conversation with Lisa Millette, who is the person at the Island Institute that is coordinating this fellows program and deals with the applications. And what I understand from her is that they would like to see an application come in from our group, recognizing that we do not have the funds now and we may not have the funds. They go through a hiring process for the fellows, and the fellows don't start until September. Now, let me speculate here just for a moment that I believe what they're trying to do is recognizing that we may have funding and we may not have funding, either because of a delay or because we are not awarded a grant. And if we don't have the funding, we're not going to have the fellow.
So we won't be on the hook. if an application is approved.
Correct. We're not on the hook for, and you'll notice one of the questions in the application is, has to do with, I can't remember exactly. It has to do with the funding, and it's one or another or other, and we put in other, and we explain what the situation is. We're not obligating ourselves to paying money by putting in the application. I'm interpreting that meaning that they would like to have the opportunity to juggle within their systems of funding, their systems of getting hiring fellows, to have as many potential applicants as possible. And that doesn't mean that they couldn't reject our application for lack of funding at a future date. So I'm aware that we cannot, and we are not going to obligate the town to pay for something that we can't pay for.
Their concern is because we applied for a USDA grant, and after the federal government opened up, they typically pay up to 5, and they were only able to pay 2. The rest of the money was held. So my fear is that a lot of those may not get, and there's a lot of unknown with the money. So I just want to be 100% certain to be on record that, yeah, I'm not comfortable, especially knowing that it's still a delay with the last round. And
But they have to be aware that, the Institute is aware of all these funding delays, because it's not just us, our application is probably multiple. So from what I think Ralph is saying is that they're like, look, we want a pool of potential, placements, and that we recognize, and so we just have to write it the right way. We recognize you may not have the funding, you may not have, it might be delayed, you might not get it at all. And I just, if there's no obligation to, if we're clear, we're putting this application based on the fact that we're awarded these funds. And even if we're awarded, there could be a delay past September. Which actually prior, when we were talking about this last year, we were saying they didn't line up, the grant and the fellowship. Now it looks like they're probably going to be closer together, right? Where if we do get funding, it may actually overlap with each other. I just think, I hear your concerns. I think we have to write it the right way. I can't remember the young lady that was, I want to call her Sky.
Sky Butterson.
Sky, okay. She was very clear that, kind of saying the same thing, put in the application, verify, and she really wanted to be part of that application, because she said she knows how to write it based on our concerns and also being awarded so I think it's, we have 2 weeks.
That's
and
right.
I think we need to get her involved and get it done. That's my thought.
I think it's worth going for if we're not going to be on the hook. Yeah, we definitely have to get on it if we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And I agree with you on that, but being on the hook means things need to be in writing. There can be no email, no phone conversations back and forth between you and anybody else on this committee and any of those folks. It needs to be in writing. They'll make sure that we're not on the, as you say, on the hook. That's just good business.
And I think if we do, because I thought this was going to be I thought this meeting was specifically with her to write either for this particular fellowship and to kind of feed it over into the grant.
Well, right. My sense of it is that the process of putting in this grant for the fellow is going to take the 2 weeks. I'm hoping to get a fair amount of it done tonight. In other words, answer a number of the questions that we need to answer, but not finalize it. Not finalize it tonight, but, and get input, further input from them to the extent that they want to provide further input to
Okay.
us
All right, so,
on guidance for the application.
Okay.
Peter, do you have any comment? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm trying to make sure I hear from everybody.
I agree that we should pursue this and obviously making sure that we're not on the hook for anything.
I agree with him 100%. We need to get on this right away.
Okay. Thank you. If you, I have in front of me the application. Let me go over it reasonably quickly.
Okay.
If we have an idea of what the answers are, or what we think the answers are, we want to identify here what are the questions that we don't have answers for that will need some work or need some decisions. So, name a person completing the application, the host organization name, primary town or community. Now, there's a primary fellow advisor. They want to know who is going to be, in essence, I'm going to call it the supervisor of, although that they don't call it a supervisor, but the person that's directly working with the fellow. And they're suggesting that there's a primary person who does that, and they're suggesting that there can be alternative people as well as the primary person. And they want to know what the role is of those people. Now, this to me relates a little bit to a question of that I would direct to Rich or I direct to Tracy as staff or council member of the town. What requirements the town may have in the way in which a person working with grant monies that were granted to the town, assuming that we get the grant money, what requirements the town has for the way that town needs to see that grant money overseen. Is it in your experience or otherwise that a committee that gets outside funding needs to have a council member or an employee of the town be part of the overseeing of that grant?
Yes, typically it's one of the employees. So
Does that mean that you have to do that? I mean,
it would
reason I
most,
put it
yeah,
that
I'd
way
have to
is
go through, it would have to go through HR, but it most likely would be me. So what would happen is any grant has to be approved by the town council.
Yeah.
So even though we make these recommendations, the town council has to either approve or not approve the acceptance of the grant. So where it comes in the form of, so typically we get advisors or consultants, and then I'm the point of contact for those folks.
Okay, in which case I would make a strong recommendation that that we make sure that we have additional people identified beyond the primary advisor, because one of the things that I don't want this committee to do is add to your work burden more than it has to be. My preference would be you wouldn't have to do it, but if you do have to do it, then you do have to do it. Somebody, and I'd like to see the committee make sure that we minimize that burden as much as we can.
Mr. Chair, that's a good point, because it is ultimately an expense to the town, which we're trying to avoid. Anytime you're using town labor, whatever they pay thousands of dollars an hour for Rich, it's still an expense it's indirect but I agree, it would be great to be able to divert that to somebody. But again, then the council's also voting on this, so it kind of puts them into the mix, doesn't it?
Well, there's another point, which is the grant monies can include monies to pay for the services that the town is providing.
So they could
for-
take some money out of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
for the administration
because this
of the
is
grant.
just the first question and we're spending a lot of time on it.
Yes.
I mean, we just need to identify someone. It's Rich, right? For right now, you can always identify, like, we're trying to fill out the application. You're the most obvious person because you're an employee. The town is receiving the funds for, via this grant. So if we put you as the point of contact, and then if we get the grant, there might be somebody that you, that's on your team, it may be you, but, that you, or we come up with the process, but we just need a point of contact. So let's put a point of contact of Rich because he's the obvious.
I got that. Now I'm on the next page where it says, most fellows will be supported by a single fellow advisor due to the nature of some fellowships. They may have multiple advisors. So the question is, additional advisors is what we're interested in then identifying. To relieve Rich of any burden of the day-to-day things that are gonna happen with respect to working with the fellow on the project that the committee has got the funds, the outside funds to run. How do you want to have, who do you think is appropriate to be an additional person to be working with that person?
The chair, if the chair
I-
has the.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Are you interested in doing it?
Well, I could, let me comment quickly that in my mind, the fellow's job, which we'll get to in a moment, is gonna be primarily administrative. That is to say, the things of taking the phone calls, doing the scheduling, keeping the records, collecting information, those sorts of tasks. I know that there are some, what I'll call technical tasks that are involved in training the energy coaches, for example, visiting the homes, understanding the details, the protocols for doing that. My own personal talents are better geared toward the technical side of it. I don't mind being an optional advisor, but I would then hope that we would have a second optional advisor as well, so that we might split the task some administrative versus the technical side. So I'm not opposed to being listed here as an optional advisor, especially if the committee thinks that's appropriate. I'm happy to do that, but any other ideas of
I think that, again, we're just right now, we're filling out the application. Let's not get too caught up in, let's put down these point of contacts, because honestly, it's months and months away and it could change anyways. I mean, people come and go, people, situations change. So I think that your points are really valid, but I think for the application, let's put Rich, put you, and then we're gonna be a team, we're a committee anyway, so we're gonna all be working together and helping with this. So I think that we might have somebody supporting, depending on what we further learn through the process that we need.
I'm
I
happy
see what
with
you're
that.
saying.
Yeah.
It's also really important to the town that we make sure that if we're gonna take this on, we understand what we're taking on and we have the people that can actually do it. Because if we end up not having anybody that can assist the fellow in being able to complete their job, then it could end up falling on the town again.
Good point. But didn't Sky say, wasn't she and even Jana, aren't you part of helping and assist with the grants and facilitating? I know that when we had our consultant prior, he was part of it, and then Jana came in. I'm not saying that you're gonna do all of this, but aren't you part of the process with the grants and helping and assist, or do you have any ideas on what other agencies do, because again, I don't think this is unusual. It's a good point to make, but nobody's a subject matter expert on this specifically, but it's really to help facilitate the fellow who should be a subject matter expert.
Yeah, I mean, I can just give you examples. We had an island fellow at Hancock County Planning Commission that just left this past August. Her direct supervisor, if you will, at Hancock County Planning Commission was our executive director, and then worked directly with Lisa, who is the person that you've been talking to at Island Institute as well. But in the town of Brooklyn, which is what Alan was modeling this request for an Island Institute fellow to oversee the energy coaching program off of, Grace was the Island Institute fellow there. And I believe her advisor was the chairperson of the sustainability committee in Brooklyn. I would just say, like, based on best practices, they really need to feel comfortable going to a person with challenges in your community. So as long as the individual who is the supervisor, you know, and I think having Rich there to be able to navigate the system of municipal government. So these individuals are not going to be trained in understanding the processes of going through municipal government and understanding those things. So Rich, I think having your expertise in that, just to offer, like, okay, if you need to, I don't even know what they would need to do that would have to do with the municipality, but like if you wanted them to do a presentation for the select board or like certain things like that, it's good to have somebody on the inside who can just inform them and guide them on municipal processes, especially because they're going to be technically employed by the municipality. On the other side, it's like working with community members, right? So if there are partners or other community members that this person's going to be working with, and maybe they're going to need to be introduced to people in the community. They're going to need to have connections made for them. They're going to need to, you know, work with people one-on-one, which in a town like Brooklyn, I could see it's a very small population, and Bucksport's a little bigger. So, you know, there might be challenges with individuals that they're trying to work with, and they're going to need that support. And I think it coming from this committee as a whole is okay, right? If you all are willing to listen to what some of the issues that might arise through this process are and be able to respond to that. So I think having both of your two entities together to be able to help that individual through any challenges is going to be integral in their success, I guess.
Thank you. That's a really good point. I mean, because I think we work well as a team, you know, as a committee. So, and we do things, you know, like this. I'm sure this person will be at these, you know, participating, and we'll be kind of collaborating. So whoever's kind of designated with them, but you're going to have the full support, I think, of everybody.
Okay, moving on, without objection. High-level synopsis of the project that the fellow will be working on. We've identified the energy coaching, launching an energy coaching program is what we've hit upon. It relates to both the climate and the marine economy, and they ask for some information, detailed information of what specific thing it fits on, so they can check the right box. It described the existing community support for the projects that the fellow will be participating in. How do you plan to build or maintain community support for the projects? What are the parts of the projects that may be controversial? How will you help the fellow maintain neutrality if necessary? What's the desired impact on the community as a result of the fellow's work? What ways has the board formally acknowledged support for the fellow? Well, that would be the votes of the town council, of course. please list other organizations, committees, or groups that will be directly collaborating with you on it. Now, we've mentioned a number in the past, and I would probably seek to find other potential ones. The usefulness of other organizations and committees and groups is not only to help us, but it's for them to help us with this application. Letters of support from them are part of the application. And that means that we have to very quickly identify what other groups or organizations, entities we want to bring into this collaboration. Ones that we've mentioned before were the group in Brooklyn, the group on Mount Desert Island. There were others that have been mentioned that are escaping my mind at the moment. If anyone has any other ideas of groups, entities that we would want to have collaborating, either speak up or let me know as soon as possible.
So, I mean, we haven't met, but the, Chris, our other committee that we're all on, right?
Conservation Committee.
The conservation, I mean, that would have a great, we wanted to collaborate. You know, we haven't really moved any further. I mean, we were focused on the other, with the, Emerald Ash Borer, but I don't know if, you know, that would be a committee that we would want to get involved, even just to be involved, because whether, you know, I mean, it obviously can play a part, energy, coaching, and so that could be something, because we tried to kind of merge.
Do the members of that committee have a sense that that committee's involvement would be helpful to the effort of launching the energy coaching program, or is that too much of a stretch?
For me, it would be a bit of a stretch. I was thinking more of the folks helping poor people, folks helping the disadvantaged element of the world, because I'm hoping that this program, if it is successful, will help those folks.
Bucksport Community Concerns,
Something
for
of that
example.
nature, perhaps. Not that they deal directly, well, the town provides money for fuel, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if anybody else is doing that directly for folks like that. And I, you know, excuse me. I don't know what goes on in the school system as it relates to energy and usage and stuff. That might be a stretch too, but I would think the Bucksport Community Concerns might be one of them. The churches, certainly the churches in this town do a lot of things.
Okay, so you've mentioned Bucksport Community Concerns. You've mentioned the schools,
Perhaps the schools, but that's a stretch. That would be a stretch.
and you mentioned churches. To me, it's easy to inquire of Bucksport Community Concerns. It's easy to inquire of the schools because there's a superintendent. The churches is a little bit different because each church has its own systems and its own people, its own structure. Are you suggesting or recommending that we contact churches as
Well, I'm thinking
potential?
specifically of the Methodist Church, because this committee, it was interested in putting a generator in, right? And so we've already had some contact with those folks as it dealt with that, and the interest of whether the interest is there or not, I'm not sure, but
That congregation has done fundraising for fuel assistance, for example. That I know. I'm not familiar with what the different congregations of the different churches are doing in this area, though.
I'm not either. I have one next to me, but they're brand new, and I don't know what their effort is. So, but I just refer back to the generator issue.
Yeah.
And that was one of we were having meetings, I understand, with the Reverend and certain town representatives. But that would be I can't think of anybody else unless it's the fuel companies.
Obviously, parts of the town would be I'm thinking of the public safety department of the town, we would want to be collaborating with to some extent, so that they're knowledgeable about what we're doing if we're, in particular, doing the home visitation portion of the project.
Certainly the fire department might be one of those, I think. You know, they had a program and they're always concerned about safety.
Yes.
And people start changing their living conditions to unsafe, you know, they're interested in making sure those changes don't enhance the unsafe possibilities. They might be somebody to join in.
Any other ideas on entities?
I do think, considering there's 3 of us already on that other committee, just even seeing if there's other people, because they could be sources of assistance for us in this program in the other committee, which I can't, I want to say the resiliency, but we are the resiliency committee, a conservation committee. So it just could be another source of assistance, and we're not really doing so much right now with that. So,
Well, I can certainly talk to the committee chair
Yeah.
and ask her for her commentary on it. Anything further? Moving along,
Can I just interject for a second?
Yes. please.
I think it might be good to ask Sky what they mean by directly collaborating versus just like a partner in the application. Because the way that I read it, it's saying that if you are not directly partnering with another organization, we will ask you to provide a letter from another entity important to the work. So essentially, like, what's the difference between another entity that's important to the work and someone who's directly collaborating with you? Because it could just be as simple as, you know, some of these other groups that you mentioned might be supportive of the work because it's beneficial for the community, and maybe some of the people that they work with, but they're not willing to actually want to do any of the work on this project. If that's the case, I wouldn't think that they're directly collaborating per se, but more or less just, you know, support what the initiative that you're doing, and you might just need to get some letters from them supporting the program that you're trying to put together. So it might be just worthwhile before you know, do all of this to ask Sky for that clarification.
Good, thank you.
Good point.
What are your plans for onboarding the fellow to the project? To me, that means how are they, how is it initiated and trained? Will the primary fellow advisor be available to meet at least once a week during the duration of the fellowship? And do we expect to describe how the primary advisor will provide direct guidance and feedback between weekly check-ins, recruitment, what specific skills or qualities do you seek in a fellow applicant? Any quick ideas on what specific skills we're looking for? I mentioned, but it's not cast in concrete, that I thought the fellow would be working primarily in an administrative role of collecting information and scheduling and et cetera, but publicity work, perhaps, that sort of thing. Any particular ideas that people have in thinking about what, and by the way, if we're not able to get a fellow, we were thinking we'd be hiring somebody else. The advantage of getting the fellow is it's about half price, and it's like outsourcing the HR department. In other words, if the town has to hire a person with the grant monies without the fellow, then there are a variety of things that are going to be involved in in that type of hiring process, but the tasks and how we manage them is something that's gonna pertain to both. So answering these questions is not only going to answer the question for the fellow application. Any,
So I feel a little like, cause I'm not, I mean, I think the points you made are what I guess what I'm envisioning, but I think because I'm not 100% clear on what I mean, I know what the coaching is, but I'm not the expert. So there's certain parts that, you know, I've written a lot of job descriptions, but I'm not quite sure and actually how they want to fill it out. So I think that, so I'm guessing once we get this, we'll go to Sky and she's going to start kind of helping us get through this, because I think she will know specifically how to, or unless, Jana, you have some suggestions based on some other applications for this that you can recommend how we would answer this.
I definitely think that, like, to your point, that you should speak to Sky and get some guidance on a lot of these, because I think it will definitely benefit you. I can help support the application for the community resilience partner or the community action grant, where you'll ask for the funding to pay for the fellow. But Sky's definitely going to be the person that can assist you with this application. So I would lean on them to assist you, especially if they've offered it.
right.
But I would say, in terms of qualities, definitely customer service skills will be highly desirable. Like the ability to speak to individuals of like a lot of demographics. You know, I don't think you're going to expect them to be like bilingual or anything like that, but to be able to at least like not deal with difficult people. But I think customer service is the best way of saying that. I also think that this person might need to do research and help build programs, right? Because this is something that's brand new. And so being able to do research on best practices and lessons learned in other communities and reach out to partners to help build a program is going to be pretty essential too. So those are just thinking through like some of the skills that I would foresee for this person. I think, yeah, maybe it's going to be generally administrative, but they're going to need to talk to a lot of people and be able to be a people person, if you will.
You make great points. Being able to take information and to process it and, you know, make it, like you said, with project building and development. So, but thank you, Jana.
So they're also looking for help in identifying potential housing opportunities. The Island Institute takes care of housing them, but they know that community members know housing situations in the community better than they do. So if we have any suggestions on how to house a fellow, that is to say where there might be housing situations available that would be suitable, they're asking us to let them know. So if anyone on the committee knows of those types of things, please let me know so I can.
I mean, it's in September, so it's really hard to know now, but we can put, ideas of, because there's, apartments
Right.
and there's, I don't know where there's temporary, because it's however long it is, they would be leasing or, so I guess it's
2 years.
2 years, so it's a 2-year program.
Do we know if they have a car?
We don't know that.
Good question.
So I guess those are questions. That's a good question.
And-
I guess
My comment sort of reflects the boilerplate side of what Janet said, which is, people skills and organization. If you don't have great organization, all the rest of it becomes a moot point. That's boilerplate.
Housing is a significant concern.
Right.
I think more than that, the fellowship outline is, what is the goal for the first quarter? What is the work plan for the first quarter? What is the goal for the second quarter?
Oh, we don't even know, like, we, that's my point, like, it's really hard, we're kind of blind. I think that, I mean, going through this is good. I do think we need Sky in order to kind of facilitate, she knows how to answer these questions, she's done this, she
Yes.
knows what they're looking for.
Well, there's been a community that went through this, so maybe they can give us what their expectations were quarterly or something, but someone's gotta find that research. And that's how we have to complete that outline section. You don't wanna go there without giving them, cause they're requesting 2 to 4 high-level milestones for all 4 quarters and listing the activities the fellow might accomplish to achieve the goal. And without having done this before, it's gonna be important to go through,
High-level milestones.
But
let's see what
The
Brooklyn
first
did.
quarter is to establish milestones.
On the application, you have to do all 4 quarters. He's joking, isn't he?
Yes.
Good joke, I like it. Don't mind me.
In the time remaining, let me direct your attention to a couple things. I want to ask a process question here. One way to continue with this is for the committee to authorize me to work on this application, to authorize us to communicate via email on drafts of this and suggestions for improvement of it. And and then I'd also, I want to be sure that we have time to consider when the committee actually wants to meet again. So is the process that I've suggested there of the committee authorizing me to do a draft of this and that we process it by email, is that a reasonable suggestion? Would you like to do it that way or some different way?
Yes, I was gonna recommend somebody needs to do a draft of it for the sake of efficiency. It's,
Yep.
you know, it's a lot faster to amend what somebody has written than for this many people to
Generate it.
discuss
Yes.
each sentence and.
Right, wordsmithing by committee is something I would like to avoid.
Yeah, I agree with that.
so, just so I understand, Ralph, you're going to write this, are you going to work with Sky to do it? Is that the goal?
She offered help and I said that after this meeting, I would contact her, let her know what the committee had decided to do and where we were with it and get her help to the extent that she's willing to provide it, yes.
I think that's really, we have 2 weeks, that's really the only option, I appreciate you doing that. You know, and hopefully, you know, working with her, because I think these are I mean, I think it's hard to do this kind of blind, not knowing what the expectation is from the, what they want. And sometimes we might be overthinking it and they're looking for specific lines, like you were saying, each quarter, they could just be like, this, and this, and we're like trying to think of like this massive overview of these points, but they're looking for very broad, you know, maybe points that we can kind of incorporate things into, and that's what I think needs to happen, and it needs to be worked on specifically.
So let me make reference to a couple of things that I did send in that I sent last night with the proposed agenda. It was some writings that I did. One was comments that I have for the public public comment period. Another was of the beginning of a narrative that would be for the community action grant, dealing with what the energy coaching program is and why we would be doing it and what we would expect to get from it and so forth. and I didn't get very far with it. I mean, I have a little outline there, and I threw in a few sentences in a few places. That's the sort of thing that I can do fairly easily. And if the committee's then willing to, in the next 2 weeks, by back and forth with the email, make commentary on what I put into this, that would work for me, if that works for the committee.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of email. I think Google, like where it lives in one spot and everyone can comment on it. I personally, like you sent the email, I was driving last night from Florida, so I didn't read anything, and I was busy today. So if there's one place that I can go, because if I'm looking at a bunch of emails, like, you write a response, and then you write a response, and then you write a response, and trying to figure
Sure,
out where we're
sure,
at would
yeah.
be hard.
That's, we can do it with the, what it's called, Google Group
Google Drive.
Google
Google Drive,
Drive that we have. Well, I'm
Are you familiar with it?
I've used it. I don't like it, but I understand. You make a reasonable point.
Honestly,
I
it can
understand.
get
You make
complicated.
You make a good point.
If I'm reading Peter's response and I didn't read Emily's, so I'm commenting on yours, and then you come back and say something like valid, but I've now, like, it could be really hard. And I don't want to look at 50 emails.
Chair,
Are other people familiar with the
The
Google
only-
Drive?
I am, I
Sufficiently?
use
I
it all
am.
the time,
Okay.
but
I think we all are.
a bit away from that. I would really appreciate it if your communications with Sky would be shared with the entire
Yeah.
group.
Mhm.
So that it
Sure.
isn't just you and she, or me and you. The group I'm now with, I'm making sure everybody sees everything, blind list and all that. And most people, myself included, do not like to get all these emails, but you know what? It's parked in a place where it's part of the business, and ideally it would be great if we all had municipal emails here, but we don't, and we're not going to.
Sure.
So, but I just make sure that any communication you have with her is shared, so that it gives us a little bit more security as well.
Right, and let me say explicitly what I did say to her yesterday on the phone was that I regard, regardless of what legal interpretation somebody might have, I regard everything that this committee does is in the public domain.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is, although we aren't elected, we're appointed by elected officials, and to me that makes everything we do, everything we write is publicly available. And every email that we send or receive is publicly available if it were requested. So I make that comment because I do not want to engage with information that's not publicly available. I don't personally want to have to separate.
That's actually, to your point, why Google Drive is really good, because we have a folder and everybody's comments. And I think we've all used it. We're all familiar with it, comfortable with it. But it's a place where you're communicating. If let's say question 1, and you write it, and then Sky puts a comment, and then Emily puts a comment, and Peter puts a comment, and so we all see it, and then we change the narrative, we can still see it. That's the beauty of that. And then we're not, and it's in real time, so it's not a bunch of emails that you go through.
Right.
And then it's all available for, if somebody ever wanted to receive the public request for information.
Okay, then Chris, if you don't mind, I may call on you for help with Google Drive if I need it.
I've been teaching people for a long time and been miserable failure on it, but I'm sure you'll embrace it. Mr. Chair, the other thing I want to say is thank you to Jana and to you because the communications that you folks have had, I've been able to see those as well. So what you put up there has been really helpful for me to understand. So if I just keep sharing, please.
Okay, good. And thank you very much, Jana. We're at the part of the meeting where I like to, usually we try to set the next meeting date. I'm gonna recommend if, sometime in the first 2 weeks of February, is my suggestion. We can do this again through a different mechanism if you don't want to try to set a date at the moment. If people are able to set a date now, we're missing Tracy, so if we set a date, let's make it a tentative date. I should let you know that the last 2 weeks of February to the first week of March, I won't be available for anything. And relative to this application for the fellow, that's gonna be done before the end of this month. So that's out of the way. The work on the community grant, community action grant, I would expect if it's due, won't be due, we think, until May sometime or later, but, so there's gonna be plenty of opportunity to work on that. That's gonna be a more in-depth application than this one for the fellow. And, but I'm thinking that we might not want to put off our meetings for too long. Committee members, how do you feel about meeting in early February?
Sounds good to me.
You said you won't be here the last 2 weeks of February and the first week of March.
Starting the 18th of February until sometime in the 4th of March. I'm not expecting to be available.
I'm okay with any date, just I'm pretty flexible. So, it just, in February, so just tell me when.
Schedule's rich. You're the one that dictates.
Can we look at Tuesday the 10th? I don't have the town's budget schedule in front of me right now, so there's gonna be a lot of Thursdays where there are budget meetings going on, but Tuesday the 10th seems open, and I too am on vacation the week of school vacation week, the 16th, so.
We can postpone that though.
School vacation?
Yeah, vacate, your
It's the
vacation.
last one she gets.
Absolutely not.
See ya.
Wow.
I'm on your side. All right.
I don't have to wake up as early.
So we're looking at February 10th.
Yeah, that is a Tuesday, and the only night that week I don't have a meeting.
Let's tentatively put it on February 10th. We'll confirm that later.
It's not bad for me yet.
I'm sorry that we're running over time, but I have an important question, Rich. Does the town council need to approve our filing this application for an island fellow, so long as we're not obligating the town to any expense?
I will ask Jacob. What's today? Today's Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah.
I'll reach out to Jacob. I'm coming into work tomorrow, so I'll reach out to Jacob tomorrow. Just because if we do, we'd need to have something to present to the council at Thursday's meeting, and he'd need to get it on the agenda, and he puts the agenda together on Monday.
Okay, and the agenda, that's the third, their next meeting is?
Thursday, the 22nd.
Okay, that's what, if you could do that, that would be very helpful. And at the very least, I'd be available to make that presentation before the council if I have to.
Yeah, and we probably should do, we haven't given the council a presentation on what we've done.
Okay,
The last thing may have been getting the request, when I requested the extension for the committee, because we needed to go longer, and we got the state's approval to do that. And then each of you might receive an email from Kelly or a phone call from Kelly Herrick, making sure you want to, because this committee renews each year, and renewals are in March, so please confirm with her either way. Hopefully everybody stays on.
You're the one that started the Google Drive folder.
Yes.
For those that don't know, there's an incredible amount of stuff in there already. that would be the reference point that we would turn to when you start
And-
accessing. So,
And if you need help too, I can help you with it. I think you'll find it incredibly easy and helpful. I think it's a really great, if you have a Google email, do you have a Gmail?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
He's not a fan of Google.
He's not a fan of Google?
His company, I think.
Oh, well, I can get that.
Okay, so, quickly, what went well in the meeting, what things could have been done better?
I have no complaints.
Oh, I'm not looking for complaints, I'm looking for
Okay.
suggestions for improvement, suggestions for improvement, we don't call them complaints. Hearing none, anything else before we adjourn the meeting?
Thank you for all your efforts.
Yes. Thank you.
Meeting
For
adjourned, thank you all.
Bye, Jana, thank you.
Bye, Janet, thank
you.
you.
I'm gonna go home.
My apologies for running